There's a type of woman who doesn't break you with fists or words, but with slow, calculated poison. You don't notice it at first. She plays sweet, charming, vulnerable, but over time your energy fades, your peace disappears, and your identity begins to crumble. This isn't love, it's war disguised as affection. In this video, we're breaking down 7 warning signs that there may be an evil woman right next to you. One who drains your soul, manipulates your mind, and destroys your sense of self. Using the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, we'll expose the red flags, give you the tools to protect your peace, and show you how to walk away with strength, clarity, and self-respect. If you've ever felt emotionally exhausted in a relationship but couldn't explain why, you need to hear this. If you find value in content that protects your peace and sharpens your mind, hit the like button, subscribe, and join us on this path of self-mastery. Number 1, she always plays the victim. At first glance, she seems fragile, misunderstood, someone who's been through too much and just needs someone to love her right. You hear stories about how people have wronged her, the toxic ex who broke her heart, the jealous friend who betrayed her, the unfair boss who overlooked her talents. You feel sympathy, even admiration, for her resilience. But slowly something feels off. Different characters, same plot. Everyone in her past was cruel. No one ever understood her. And strangely, she never takes ownership of any part of those stories. Not even a small piece. Over time, you realize that every challenge, every disagreement, every uncomfortable truth somehow turns into another scene in her ongoing tale of victimhood. If you express your feelings, you're being insensitive. If you ask for space, you're abandoning her. If you hold her accountable, you're just like all the others. You start to shrink. You second-guess yourself. You begin walking on eggshells. And that's when the trap is fully set. This behavior is not about trauma or sensitivity. It's about control. Playing the victim is one of the most subtle yet powerful forms of manipulation. It disarms you with guilt, clouds your clarity with emotion, and traps you in a dynamic where you feel responsible not only for her pain, but for fixing it. But the truth is, you didn't cause it. You're just the latest person she's pulled into her emotional theater. The Stoics were clear. We are responsible for our own emotions, our own judgments, and our own actions. Epictetus said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them." A woman who constantly sees herself as the victim is choosing to view the world through a lens of blame and powerlessness. And when you get too close, she pulls you into that same distorted lens. The more you try to help her heal, the more you abandon your own peace. The more you try to prove you're different from the men who hurt her, the more you sacrifice your own truth just to avoid being cast as the villain. But here's the hardest part. Sometimes she's so convincing, so emotionally persuasive, that you begin to believe her version of reality. You start to question your own character. You apologize for things you didn't do, and before long, you're no longer standing in your truth. You're drowning in hers. As a Stoic, your task is not to rescue others from themselves. It's to protect your own mind from being corrupted by their illusions. Pity can be a trap when it blinds you to patterns. Compassion must have a boundary, or it turns into self-betrayal. You can support someone who's struggling, but you cannot heal someone who is addicted to being helpless. Victimhood, when turned into identity, becomes a shield against growth. And any relationship built on the need to constantly soothe, fix, or prove yourself to someone who refuses to evolve will eventually destroy your peace of mind. Don't confuse guilt with love. Don't confuse saving someone with building something real. A woman who always plays the victim doesn't want a partner. She wants a savior. And once you step into that role, you lose yourself. Walk away, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Walk away knowing that protecting your peace is not selfish, it's survival. Number 2, she's addicted to drama. Chaos isn't something she runs from, it's something she creates. And when life is calm, when things are stable, when peace starts to settle in, she gets uncomfortable, bored even, because for her, drama is oxygen. She craves the intensity, the fights, the highs and lows, the emotional roller coaster that keeps everything unstable. And the most dangerous part? She'll often provoke it, sometimes subtly, sometimes openly, just to feel something, just to see your reaction, just to remind herself that she still has control. At first, it might seem like she's just expressive or passionate. Maybe she even calls it spicy or fiery. You might mistake it for chemistry, but soon you'll find yourself being pulled into emotional storms that have no clear beginning or end. One day it's a silent treatment over something you didn't even realize you did. The next, it's a sudden explosion because you didn't text back fast enough. She escalates small things into major arguments, not because she's seeking resolution, but because she feeds on the emotional chaos. Why? Because peace feels foreign to her. In silence, she feels irrelevant. In calmness, she feels unseen. And so she stirs the pot, not to communicate, but to dominate. Because in drama, she can control the narrative, play the victim or the aggressor, and manipulate your emotional state like a puppet master pulling strings. And here's the trap. You become reactive. You start to adjust your behavior to avoid triggering her. You lose your voice trying to keep the peace. You sacrifice your truth to prevent the next emotional hurricane. Slowly, you stop living by principle and start living in survival mode. But no matter how careful you are, it's never enough. She will find something to ignite because the chaos isn't around her. It's inside her. The Stoics were ruthless about inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But a woman addicted to drama rejects this idea. She doesn't want mastery over her emotions. She wants to project them, release them, dump them onto others. And when you're the closest one to her, you become the target. You're not in a relationship anymore. You're in a war zone where the enemy is invisible and the battlefield is emotional. The Stoic man must understand this. Your peace is sacred. Your mental clarity is not negotiable. And anyone who thrives on destroying that, even in the name of love or passion, is not your partner. They are a parasite to your purpose. You don't need chaos to feel alive. You don't need to fight for someone's love every week just to prove it's real. That's not romance. That's emotional sabotage. A woman addicted to drama does not need more attention. She needs healing, but that is not your job. Your job is to walk away before your soul is buried beneath her emotional wreckage. Peace is not boring. Peace is beautiful, and you deserve someone who values it as much as you do. Number 3, she controls through guilt. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to do. Her weapon is far more subtle and far more destructive. She uses guilt like a sculptor uses clay, molding your behavior, shaping your decisions, bending your will. You'll hear things like, "I guess you don't care as much as I do," or, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me?" No direct demand, no clear confrontation, just emotional landmines placed carefully in your path, waiting to explode the moment you choose yourself over her. It starts with little things. You cancel dinner plans to take care of something important, and she goes cold. You forget to say goodnight, and she posts a cryptic quote about being unappreciated. You ask for space, and she becomes distant, not because she respects your boundary, but to punish you for drawing it. Suddenly, affection becomes a currency. Love becomes conditional, and approval is earned, not by being authentic, but by being obedient. This kind of manipulation doesn't scream, it whispers. It hides behind good intentions. She might even believe she's being loving. But guilt is not love. It's a form of emotional control designed to make you doubt yourself until your needs no longer feel valid. The Stoics warned us about this kind of erosion of the self. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." When you're being controlled by guilt, you're not facing healthy adversity. You're being chained by unspoken expectations, punished for your independence, and slowly taught that your peace comes second. And the worst part? Guilt makes you complicit. You start apologizing for things that aren't wrong. You begin to sacrifice your truth for temporary harmony. You say yes when you mean no, not because you're weak, but because you're being conditioned to fear disapproval more than discomfort. A Stoic man must learn to recognize the difference between compromise and control. Compromise is mutual. It's based on shared values. But guilt is one-sided. It demands, it accuses, it manipulates. And once it becomes a pattern, it's no longer about the relationship. It's about ownership. You are not her emotional caretaker. You are not responsible for her insecurity. You are not obligated to diminish your light just so she doesn't feel threatened by your independence. A woman who controls through guilt doesn't want love. She wants leverage. So what do? You reclaim your inner compass. You stop asking for permission to honor your needs. You hold the line, even if it makes her uncomfortable. Because the moment you stop being afraid of guilt, you take back your power. Remember this, a relationship without emotional freedom is just a slow spiritual death. And guilt, when used to control, is not a sign that you've hurt someone. It's a sign that someone has learned to hurt you without lifting a finger. Number 4, she lacks empathy. Empathy is the quiet yet powerful thread that weaves two hearts into a genuine connection. It is the ability to sense, understand, and share in others' feelings, not just in good times, but especially in moments of struggle and vulnerability. When a woman lacks empathy, this essential thread snaps. She becomes emotionally unavailable, disconnected, or indifferent to your inner world. The absence of empathy is not a mere flaw. It is a chasm that prevents true intimacy, leaving you feeling profoundly alone even when you are together. Imagine facing life's inevitable challenges, stress at work, loss, disappointment, or self-doubt, and turning to your partner for comfort only to be met with silence, impatience, or cold detachment. Instead of a safe harbor where your pain is acknowledged and soothed, you find an emotional void where your feelings are minimized, dismissed, or ignored. This emotional neglect is deeply damaging. It chips away at your sense of security and belonging, leaving you to carry your burdens without support. Over time, the weight of isolation builds resentment and erodes your peace of mind. The Stoics teach us that we are social creatures, bound by reason and compassion. Marcus Aurelius said, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" This reminds us to approach others with patience and understanding, recognizing our shared human frailty. But empathy is a two-way street. A woman who lacks empathy refuses this mutual recognition. She cannot or will not meet you where you are emotionally. Her inability to empathize shows a lack of emotional maturity and compassion, vital ingredients for a loving partnership. Such a woman may also prioritize her own feelings above yours, unable to see beyond her perspective. She may react to your pain with frustration or annoyance, viewing your vulnerability as inconvenient rather than an invitation for connection. This egocentric view disrupts the natural flow of empathy and understanding, creating an emotional imbalance where your needs are sidelined. Instead of being a source of strength and comfort, she becomes a source of stress and emotional depletion. For a Stoic man committed to growth, resilience, and emotional wisdom, this lack of empathy is a clear red flag. True emotional strength comes not from Stoic endurance alone, but from shared vulnerability. A partner who walks alongside you through hardship with compassion, not coldness. Without empathy, a relationship becomes a one-sided effort, a place where your emotional needs are ignored and your growth stifled. Recognizing this sign early allows you to protect your emotional health. You deserve a partner who meets your feelings with kindness, who listens deeply, and who supports your journey with genuine care. To build a life rooted in peace and mutual respect, choose those who honor your inner world as much as your outer actions. Your emotional well-being depends on it, and your time is too valuable to spend in loneliness masked by proximity. Number 5. She's obsessed with superficial things. At first, it might seem harmless. She likes the finer things. Nice clothes, luxury bags, the latest phone, a constant stream of photos where everything looks picture perfect. You might even feel proud to be with someone who shines so brightly. But soon the surface becomes everything. She doesn't care how people treat each other, only how they look while doing it. She doesn't ask about your thoughts, your fears, your values, only your income, your car, your status. Her attention is reserved for appearances, for optics, for how things appear to the world, not how they truly are behind closed doors. You begin to notice that real conversations are rare. She's more concerned about likes than love. Her mood shifts with how many compliments she gets. And your value in her eyes, it starts to feel transactional, based not on your character, but on what you provide, how you look next to her, or whether you enhance the image she wants the world to see. When you have a bad day, she seems irritated, not because she's worried about you, but because your struggles disrupt the aesthetic. The Stoics warned us about this kind of life, one ruled by externals. Epictetus taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Sebun. But to a woman obsessed with superficial things, enough does not exist. She is always chasing the next shiny object, the next trend, the next reason to feel superior. And what's worse, she equates material gain with moral worth. If someone is rich, they must be right. If someone is attractive, they must be good. This kind of thinking is poison because it blinds her to character, to values, to what truly builds a life worth sharing. You'll start to feel pressure, not to grow, but to impress. Not to be yourself, but to perform. And over time, your peace is slowly replaced by performance anxiety. You stop being seen as a partner and instead become a prop. Something to accessorize her lifestyle, not something to build a life with. And when you fail to meet the image she clings to, you'll see her disappointment, not in your effort, but in your inability to uphold the illusion. A Stoic man must remember this. Image is a shadow, not substance. What glitters is not always gold, and what looks good online often hides what is hollow in reality. If she values what you wear over what you believe, if she cares more about what people think than what you two actually feel, then you are not in a relationship. You are in a brand collaboration. You deserve someone who sees you, not just what you provide. Someone who values your integrity over your income. Someone who knows that a meaningful life isn't built on filters, labels, or followers, but on quiet moments, deep conversations, and unwavering truth. Choose depth. Hinonenon. Choose real. The woman who sees past your surface is the one who will stand beside you when life strips everything else away. Number 6. She cannot admit when she's wrong. This is more than mere stubbornness or pride. It is a defense mechanism built on insecurity and fear. A fortress she constructs around a fragile ego that refuses to be challenged or exposed. When she makes a mistake or crosses a boundary, rather than owning it with humility, she will deny, deflect, or even twist the situation to place the blame back onto you. Instead of acknowledging the truth and embracing the discomfort that comes with growth, she chooses silence, anger, or manipulation as shields. Conversations that should lead to understanding and healing instead spiral into defensiveness and emotional exhaustion. You quickly realize that honesty and accountability are not welcomed here. Instead, you are met with resistance, excuses, and a refusal to face reality. At first, it might seem like a simple case of pride or confidence, but over time, it becomes painfully clear that this refusal to admit fault is a barrier to any real growth or progress. When someone cannot acknowledge their mistakes, they trap themselves in a cycle of repeated offenses, broken promises, and damaged trust. The relationship turns into a battleground where winning the argument becomes more important than mending the wound. You find yourself carrying the heavy burden of unresolved conflicts and lingering resentment because the other person refuses to confront their own flaws honestly. From a Stoic perspective, this is a tragic failing. The great Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." But this power, this resilience, depends on one key trait: humility. The courage to admit when you are wrong, to embrace discomfort, and to seek improvement. Without humility, there is no true strength. Only a fragile ego desperately trying to maintain control by refusing to face its imperfections. Denial and blame shifting may protect the ego momentarily, but they poison the foundation of trust and respect that any lasting relationship requires. A woman who cannot admit her mistakes creates a toxic environment where honest communication dies. Open dialogue, where both partners feel safe to express themselves without fear of judgment or reprisal, becomes impossible. Instead of growth and mutual understanding, there is stagnation and tension. Instead of partnership, there is a silent war, where wounds are left to fester because no one wants to take responsibility for healing them. For you, the Stoic man who values integrity, growth, and genuine connection, this is a glaring red flag. Real strength is not about never making mistakes. It is about having the courage to admit them, learn from them, and grow beyond them. Real love is not about perfection, but about honesty and vulnerability. Without these, a relationship is like a house built on sand, beautiful at first glance but unstable, and doomed to collapse when storms come. No amount of patience, understanding, or effort on your part will create lasting peace with someone who refuses to acknowledge their faults. If she cannot face her own reflection honestly, she cannot walk beside you on the path of growth. Protect your peace. Epictetus. Value your own commitment to truth and humility. Remember that the strongest foundations are built on accountability, and anything less will only bring you pain in the long run. Number 7. She disrespects your time. Time is the most precious and non-renewable resource anyone possesses, especially for a Stoic man who understands that every moment is a chance to cultivate virtue, wisdom, and inner peace. Yet one of the most damaging signs that a woman might be detrimental to your well-being is her consistent disrespect for your time. This disrespect might not always be loud or obvious. It often begins in small, subtle ways. She arrives late to your plans without sincere apology. She cancels last minute expecting you to be available again on her terms. Or she demands your immediate attention regardless of your priorities. Over time, these behaviors become a clear pattern, one that tells you in unspoken terms that your time and, by extension, you yourself, are not valued. This disregard for your time is more than just thoughtlessness. It is a fundamental dismissal of your worth and your commitments. When someone treats your time as disposable, they are, in effect, saying that your goals, your responsibilities, and your well-being are secondary to their immediate needs or whims. And for you who seek to live intentionally and with purpose, this is a grave warning sign. Your time is the currency of your life. Once spent, it can never be reclaimed. How others treat this currency is one of the clearest reflections of how much they respect you. The Stoics place great emphasis on guarding time and using it wisely. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to live as though we could die at any moment, valuing each second as if it were precious gold. To him, being good means not only living virtuously, but also protecting your time from waste. When a person disrespects your time, they are effectively stealing your life, bit by bit, moment by moment. This slow theft wears down your energy, your focus, and your peace of mind, leaving you drained and unable to pursue your true purpose. The disrespect often escalates beyond tardiness or cancellations. She might demand your constant availability, interrupt your moments of focus or rest, or guilt you for setting boundaries around your schedule. This is manipulation disguised as neediness or care. But at its core, it is about control over your time, and by extension, control over your life. It is a sign that she prioritizes her desires above your growth and well-being. True respect from a partner means recognizing that your time is sacred, It means valuing your ambitions, honoring your commitments, and supporting your need for balance and peace. Such a woman will not punish you for saying no or set unreasonable expectations that pull you away from your values. Instead, she encourages your growth, celebrates your achievements, and respects the boundaries you set to protect your mind and spirit. If you constantly find yourself making excuses for her behavior, explaining away her disrespect as just how she is, or feeling frustrated and depleted because she doesn't honor your time, this is a serious sign to reconsider the relationship. A healthy partnership should be a source of strength, calm, and mutual respect, not a source of constant disruption and emotional drain. As a Stoic, your mission is clear. Protect your peace, guard your time, and live with intention. Set firm boundaries about how your time is spent and who earns the right to claim it. Remember that your time is a direct reflection of your values, your priorities, and your self-respect. Spend it wisely and only with those who cherish it as much as you do. Otherwise, you risk losing not just your minutes, but your very life. Thank you for watching and reflecting with me on these 7 evident signs that there might be an evil woman beside you. Remember, Stoicism teaches us to live with clarity, courage, and self-respect. Recognizing these warning signs is not about judgment or bitterness. It's about protecting your peace, setting healthy boundaries, and prioritizing relationships that nurture your growth and well-being. You deserve a partner who aligns with your values of humility, truth, and genuine connection. If this video helped you gain insight or offered you clarity, please like it and subscribe to the channel. I'm here to share more wisdom and practical guidance to help you navigate life with strength and calm. Together, let's continue to build a life rooted in purpose and peace. Until next time, stay strong and keep living with intention.